Hello people, hope you're having a good one. So this episode of Dragon Ball Super belongs entirely to Master Roshi, but before I get into that, I think it's important to mention that in the beginning of the episode, we find out about another deficiency that Zeno-sama has, and that's the fact that he can't count. Last week we found out about the fact that he couldn't follow the Hit versus Dispo fight, so his vision isn't as acute and as accurate and is incapable of following the fight of that speed. Because he needed the slow motion app. Now we find out that he's not really good at math. There's 3 fights in the episode because Roshi was capable of defeating three characters, 3 fighters from Universe 4. And at first, the first time I watched the episode, I was just kind of like, I think the 2 first fights are just kind of throwaway fights. But then I thought about it more, and I understand why they needed to be there in the first place. It's not just like, yeah, look at Roshi defeating these 2 ladies in the beginning, which is I think Kawe and the Talisman Witch, the girl who's like in charge of the illusions for Universe 4. No, each of these fights addresses a character trait that defines Roshi. So the first one is the problem with him being a perv, the lustful side of Roshi, which eventually kind of turns into a gag by the end. But I will say that I really like the fact that he was able to catch the spear that Kawe was using with just 2 fingers. I thought that was pretty cool. Just kind of snaps it in 2 fairly easily. So again, the fight kind of just falls apart by the end and turns into a gag. But I think the point of it is to showcase that Roshi has indeed been able to control this pervy, lustful side of his. And that because he's been able to control it, now it's building up and it's like a very intimidating source of energy. So in a way, the episode kind of makes it seem as if the lust that was there before, that caused them problems before and nosebleeds, is now kind of like an asset because he can use that as an intimidation tactic. Then the next fight, which is versus the lady that's an illusionist, the talisman lady, the genjutsu user, if you will. So that fight ends up highlighting Roshi as a very smart tactician. In fact, there's actually pretty good speech before he defeats her where he actually says, the guys from my universe are crazy powerful, but because they're so powerful, usually their approach to fighting is very straightforward. For them, it's mainly about let's see who can beat up who. It's like a power contest for them, which is why Goku he kind of only turned to Roshi in the Samasu arc, kind of like as a last resort to see what they could do to try and seal this guy up because he was just really crazy, really powerful, right? But anyway, going back to what Roshi was saying, he's like, so they deal with their fights that way, which is why in this situation, I'm going to have to take one for the team and deal with you because you're using illusions and that could really mess people up. So, they're not experienced, they're not as used to dealing with techniques that are based off of trickery and deception. So I'm going to have to take you out. So he uses Mafuba on this chick, just puts her in that little bottle and then just throws it out of the ring. And then we kind of have this funny confrontation between Beerus and Kitella. Kitella arguing that him using that little pot is against the rules because it's technically an item and you can't use it. But then Zeno rules that it is permitted because apparently it being neat is the same as it being fair in the mind of Zeno-sama. Now the third and final fight of the episode, which is against Ganos, who for some reason has the ability to transform into a giant goose/duck monster, really lets Roshi shine as a very experienced, very seasoned combatant, as a fighter. Initially, when Ganos transforms, Roshi just completely dodges most of his moves because he can read them in advance. And it's like, yeah, you're pretty predictable. You're doing the same thing over and over again. He kind of treats it as a dance. You actually see the focus on his feet in terms of how he moves and stuff. And at certain points, he even uses Ganos' weight against him to sort of change his direction very easily. So Roshi has complete and utter domination during the beginning stages of the fight. And in fact, there's even a great line. I think it's probably the best line in the episode where Ganos is like, he's questioning, he's thinking to himself, I should be faster than you in this form, in this transformation. And Roshi says, yes, you are. He completely confirms what he said. You are faster, and you're also stronger. I'm just more experienced. Unfortunately for Roshi, though, we find out via Kitella that Ganos also has this ability that the more he fights, the stronger he gets. So he begins to counter Roshi and actually does land a couple of hits on him. that kind of like send him flying and stuff. So that's problematic, and Roshi becomes fully aware of this, and he's like, okay, I have to take this guy down, because if I don't, he's going to be a problem for the rest of the team. So what he does, and this is a throwback to Dragon Ball, he uses the sleepy little boy hypnosis technique that he used in the tournament back in the day. You know, this episode's very nostalgic. So he uses that. Doesn't work on Ganos, because Ganos actually electrocutes himself to feel enough pain to snap out of the hypnosis. And then Roshi's like, okay, what else can I do? So he buffs himself up and thanks Goku and Krillin for convincing him, or rather allowing him to believe that he actually has a lot to live for, that he's not done yet, that he can still push himself further and exceed his limits, even though he's lived a very long life. And so he uses Kamehameha on Ganos. Ganos gets eliminated, and then Roshi just straight up dies, just falls to the floor, and he straight up dies. And that's the end of the episode. Or at least it would have been the final scene of the episode, and boy, what a cliffhanger that would have been if that had been the ending of the episode. But I think the build-up towards that scene was a little bit anticlimactic in a sense. Like, let me just start off by saying that I think this moment was the moment that was previewed in the opening, where we actually see Roshi just taking off his shades, and it's like, I'm about to throw down. Like, you have no idea. This is my full power. At least that's how I felt when I saw the opening. I was like, man, Roshi looks like he's about to go in. He is not playing anymore, you know? He's about to open the door, unleash this thing that we've never seen him unleash before. He's been pushed to a corner, probably. Those are the thoughts that I had the first time I saw that preview, or that little moment in the opening. And now with this, it's kind of like, yes, he was pushed to a corner. He knew he needed to take him out as soon as possible, because if not, then he risked him getting stronger. And it's still a pretty cool moment, don't get it twisted. I specifically loved how he keeps repeating the lessons of the Turtle Hermit way. I just thought the scene could have used a little bit more oomph to it. Just a little bit more oomph. A little bit of like, this is going to be my last attack. Here we go. And then after he collapses on the floor, the episode almost makes it seem as if it's only Goku and Krillin who care about the fact that he's pretty much dead on the floor, because nobody else is around, at least not from Universe 7. We didn't get to see any reaction shots from the rest of the fighters. And I know it's because, technically speaking, Goku and Krillin were his students from Jump Street from Dragon Ball. But it's still like, literally, nobody else is going to lend him a hand. Like, he's on the floor there. So this scene right here is a pretty good example of what people referred to as fake tension that's been happening in the tournament, specifically when it pertains to Goku. So here we have Goku fighting Majikayo. He's in a confrontation with Majikayo, and he seems to be in a bind. He's gone Super Saiyan at this point, and he's stuck. It seems like he's completely immobilized. Majikayo is just got him trapped. Goku's worried about Roshi, obviously. He's in a bind, and he's like, Roshi, Roshi. And then it's just like, whoops, just kidding. I can just go Super Saiyan Blue and deal with it right away. And so what this ends up doing is that it creates a lot of conflict within the minds of the spectators and the viewers, because on one hand, you understand that he doesn't go blue because he wants to save enough stamina, as much stamina as possible, especially in order to make it to the final rounds of the tournament so that he can have a fight against Jiren. But then on the other hand, when he eventually does go blue and deals with these situations very, very easily, you're like, yeah, I knew that you could deal with these issues, with these problems very, very easily. So it's kind of like, it almost gives you the feeling that he's pretending to struggle. Now, I don't know if you noticed this, because I sure did, but when Goku goes to Roshi to try and bring him back, to try and help him out and resuscitate him, he's using the same technique that he used when Hit killed him. You know, when Hit killed him, he actually shot a blast up into the air, and then it came back down to jumpstart his heart again. Except it doesn't work in the episode. It doesn't work. And then you see this aura. By the way, Goku's in Super Saiyan Blue, okay? And you see this aura expanding, and then all of a sudden, Goku loses his blue hair, and then Roshi comes back to life. So it's like, did they just introduce the fact that Goku has the ability, using his God Ki, to bring people back to life with this divine energy? What? He can revive people. He can bring people back from the dead with his blue God Ki, at the expense of the God Ki, because then it goes away. I don't know how long it's going to take him to recharge, to get it back. In the preview, he's not using it in next week's episode. But that is crazy. If that's what this episode revealed, notice how nobody really makes a big deal out of it. But I think it's intentional that nobody makes a big deal out of it so that you just don't pay attention to it, and then you're like, holy crap, did he just do that? But anyway, you saw the episode too, so you let me know what you thought about that part. Very, very interesting. I'm not gonna lie. If he has that ability, that's cool. That is very cool, in my opinion. Anyway, seems like next week Roshi's gonna be taking a break, and it seems like people are gonna be guarding him. Vegeta is in next week's episode. They're gonna be fighting a sniper. I believe he's from Universe 2, and Tenshinhan Han is, I think, going to be able to detect him. Usually snipers are, they go up to high places. That's where they have a better view of the situation. So that should be interesting. That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, 3 fights. He actually eliminated 3 characters, and they centered around 3 of his traits. The first one is the lust. The second one is him as a tactician, and then the final and third one is him as a fighter, as an actual experienced combatant. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I do Dragon Ball Super reviews every Saturday night. Take care. Catch you guys later. Bye.